So unfortunately, guys, we have bad news. Jarvis Butts has decided to plead guilty to unaliving Naziah Harris, playing with kids, and a whole bunch of other charges. We will not be getting justice for Naziah Harris. It is not enough for a man to go through a preliminary hearing where you see the girl's family all collude with the man in order to cover up his crimes. January the 9th, 2024 was the worst day in Detroit's history, period. First and foremost, Jarvis Butts was actually scheduled to be in court that day. He elected not to go to court, but in order to get rid of a child by Naziah Harris. Now, he had been touching Naziah Harris for a very, very long time. My whole theory is that Shannon and Annette Harris and the entire family allowed it to happen simply because Shannon and Annette Harris hated Naziah Harris's mother. A lot of people speculate that colorism had a lot to do with it. Even so, in the black community, a lot of SA happened behind closed doors and the perpetrators get away with it. Naziah was surrounded around sexual predators. She definitely was. From her uncle to cousins, Jarvis Butts. Jarvis Butts filled her head up with so many dreams and fantasies to where she probably didn't know what she was doing when Jarvis was wrong. I recall seeing videos of Shannon having an attitude and aggression towards Naziah Harris. As a matter of fact, to prove that all of this was about getting rid of a baby, even though all of Naziah Harris's pregnancy photos was deleted from her iPad, in December 2023, Shannon had orchestrated for a neighborhood girl to fight Naziah Harris and try to get rid of the baby that way. There was criminal charges filed against that juvenile in Wayne County. Because Naziah Harris is no longer here, that case was closed. January the 9th, 2024. I don't know about you guys, but it haunts me. I felt like Naziah Harris was talking to me through my dreams. I'm the person who came up with the theory that Jarvis Butts fed Naziah Harris to alligators over by Rouge River. I got a lot of backlash for my theory simply because people still are unaware that alligators are in fact in Detroit, Michigan. All you got to do is Google it. They've been there for quite some time. Old school gangsters back in the 60s used to feed people to pigs. A pig does not digest bones. So a pig will definitely leave behind DNA traces. An alligator will not. That is my theory. Do me a favor. Make sure you guys are on my Twitch. That is twitch.tv/denot.point of view. I have spent countless hours and days breaking down the Naziah Harris missing case. And I definitely believe Jarvis fed her to alligators. It's not just Jarvis in on this. Upon information and belief, Shannon Harris was with Jarvis in that hotel when he gave Naziah Harris antifreeze in order to unalive and get rid of the baby. Jarvis Butts' first baby mother lives right down the road from Rouge River where Naziah Harris's clothes were found. I remember one day I did a video and I was pulling up this information and Jarvis Butts' first baby mother and his first son called into my show and threatened that if I showed up in Detroit, Michigan to attend the trial, that they too would feed me to alligators. And that confirmed my suspicion. It's a shame how Naziah Harris was felt by everybody around her. We saw Annette Harris get up there, look like she had a coke burn down her nose, lie. Say Jarvis was not in her house and never allowed in. That was a clear lie. We see Shannon lie. A lot of people have given Tawana backlash simply because she is Jarvis' older sister. And the theory is she should have known that Jarvis was capable of such heinous crime. I believe that. I absolutely do. As a matter of fact, I believe Jarvis may have even touched her when she was little because it was so much passion and fire in her eyes when she testified against Jarvis. If it was not for Tawana's testimony during the October 2024 preliminary hearing, we would not have gotten Jarvis Butts to plead guilty. That does not mean justice has been served for Naziah Harris. Even if Jarvis Butts go to prison and get poked up, which I definitely believe is going to happen, that's still not justice because you have a mourning family. You have people that really care about Naziah Harris, the entire community. She became everybody's niece, everybody's little sister, cousin. She made people in my family hug and hold on to their kids a little bit tighter. This is a revolving issue. Naziah Harris is not the only child that Jarvis Butts touched. Naziah Harris is not the only little black girl who's gone missing or was unalived by a perpetrator super close to her family in order to conceal dark secrets. We must protect the kids. CPS failed Naziah Harris. Nobody cared about Naziah Harris that stayed with her in that house. Not Annette, not Shannon, not Marquita, not none of the kids. That's my belief. I believe Annette Harris is a cokehead, a devout gambler, got foster kid check for Naziah Harris and treated her like she was Cinderella, the stepchild that they just passed along to a grown man. Homie got to get him some too. King. Let's remember King was also at Jarvis Butts' shop and possibly at the hotel. We was looking for these missing details during trial, but this coward has pled guilty. Jarvis Butts is such a coward. I don't believe he's the only person that's going to go down for this crime. Now, I've heard theories that Shannon Harris and Jarvis Butts was represented by the same lawyer. If Jarvis took a plea deal and gave up information about other people involved, then they too will be arrested. I don't think Jarvis is going to go down by himself. I speculate that Shannon Harris will be arrested. Annette Harris will be arrested. King will be arrested. So many other people are going to go down, and they need to go down. Now, again, people speculate that I'm lying about my theory or that I'm just making up things. Do your research. People in Detroit have been feeding individuals to alligators to get rid of a body without a trace. That's why Naziah Harris's body has not been found. And as long as Jarvis or Shannon does not come forward and confirm that this is what happened to Naziah's body, there will always be a hole in the internet's heart. There will always be a hole in Roxy's heart and Facebook heart. So many people investigated this matter. So many people talked about it. Still to this day, she haunts me. I don't mean like hunt like in a bad way. It's just I'm so concerned and I really wanted substantial justice. Substantial justice means that we know all of the facts. And unfortunately, we will not know all the facts. Unless, of course, somebody come forward. And I don't see anyone coming forward telling all the facts. Jarvis, you are a coward. And I don't believe he's going to make it 6 months. Maybe not even make it to his sentencing in March. He's a monster. So stop falling for these light-skinned, long hair guys. And mostly his baby mothers were dark-skinned women. Dark-skinned women fetishize about a light-skinned guy with good hair because they're colorist and they want a designer baby. They don't want their babies to come out with dark skin like them. So they procreate with light-skinned men and got a problem with black men getting with white women and vice versa. I digress for now with that. But it just doesn't sit right with me that he, as in Jarvis Butts, the monster, gets to plead guilty. We know you was guilty. We want all the facts, every single one of them. We want all the perpetrators to go down, all the co-conspirators. I wanted to figure out what was in those pages of text messages between Jarvis and Shannon from January the 9th through January the 11th. 48 hours at the time in which Naziah went missing. It breaks my heart to know that someone cannot care about youth in their own family. The youth is the future. How do you allow some monster, a piece of peen, a toxic piece of peen that raped and touched on a little baby and gave a child chlamydia? How do you advocate for someone like that? You ain't got to have a t-shirt and a sign saying free Jarvis to advocate for him. But if you know the truth, you should tell the entire truth. I don't wish no rest on none of their souls until we know the full truth. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And so I'm content with my theory. My theory is that Jarvis fed Naziah to an alligator at Rouge River, which is the last place that her clothes were found with blood on it. From the hotel all the way across town to Rouge River, I believe Naziah Harris fought and knew that her life would be ending. I don't believe Jarvis was in that car alone. The baby mother that let him borrow the car, she know more than she's telling. She needs to come out and just tell everything. Everything. I mean, everything. Every single person who was called to testify against Jarvis during the preliminary hearing does not need to rest until they tell every single thing that they know. Everything.